Hello, welcome to another Tonalist Landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called Summer Road. It's an 8 by 10 and I did it last week. And it's kind of distinctive and distinguished by the fact that I varied from the reference very extensively, much more so than usual. Now you can see the actual reference that I was deviating from. You might hear the guy next door is doing some work on his fence there. So sorry for that. But we're going to continue anyway. You can see that reference in the members area. Link for the members area is below. What's in the members area is, well, you see how this video is like all sped up, right? Well, you get the real-time video in the members area, which usually includes a glimpse at the reference, a bit of a talk a lot of times about what I think in the reference needs to be changed and stuff, and then the color mixing session, at least of the basic colors for the painting. So a bit of an education there, and of course, as I'm doing the painting, I'm trying to impart insights into the struggle and things like that. Yeah. One of the reasons that I decided to deviate so thoroughly is I've been doing a lot of master's studies, and especially in this, it's so obvious and apparent to me when doing these studies how much imagination he's actually using. I mean, you can tell that the tree's a tree and the sky's a sky and so on and so forth, but you can also tell that it's actually not realistic exactly. And that's something I'd like to get better at and do more of. And so this painting kind of represents a big break in a sense, in that there was quite a few elements in that reference that I just didn't ignore it completely and just did my own thing. And I'm real happy with the way the painting turned out, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as well. I'm painting on hardboard, and it's got 2 coats of transparent gesso, so you can't tell you can't tell that the board's been prepped, but it has. The color I'm working over it with, it looks to me to be burn umber or something similar, like maybe a Van Dyke brown. And so much of the figuring out needs to go on in that drawing stage if you're going to do the real imagination thing, I think, at least for me and the way I work. So it dried for a few days, and then we got into the color mixing session. Now I'm pulling all kinds of colors and inspiration from that reference, and I've noticed in the past when I'm trying to do things like say a redo where I'm taking an old painting and putting it back on the easel, I'm always looking for something to refer to. It's just instinct for me. So definitely I don't do that well, just floating around in the realms of pure imagination. I think the reason for that is the forms, you can see these forms have been simplified, but I was able to refer to the reference to pull complexity into my simplified shapes and give them a bit more authenticity. And I plan on doing more and more of that, frankly. I think it's a good move. Um, uh, I do want to have some kind of reference, and um, I think it's important. One of the things that I also share in the members area are some videos where I'm manipulating my photographs that I take in Photoshop in a lot of different ways. Like usually, first thing I'll do is swap out the sky. That the newer version of Photoshop is excellent for that. It's a click of a button now, where it used to take me a good solid 10-15 minutes to create a bunch of specialty masks. And some of you may or may not be aware, but I was a professional illustrator for 13 years, so I was in Photoshop every day for 8 to 10 hours. So I have, expert level knowledge in Photoshop, but really I only use it in my paint. I use it as a major part of my painting process, but I don't worry about when I'm manipulating reference in Photoshop about creating something that's going to stand on its own as a work of art. The whole purpose for the manipulations are to create something that's inspiring. And I'm a big believer in sort of synthetic approach to painting, and not in the negative sense of the word synthetic, but in the positive sense, like the word synthesis, where you're bringing disparate elements together to create something that's unique and original, you know. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you my work is completely original. Obviously, it's not. If you've seen on this channel, I have hundreds and hundreds of studies after the masters, and we've been doing a lot of that lately, and honestly it's been great. I've had quite a break from doing the master studies, but I got quite a few good ones coming up. One I was working on yesterday, 11 by 14 of an Ines I've never done before. I wasn't able to finish it completely. I wasn't able to get some of the fiddly details done, but it's looking awesome, and I look forward to sharing that with you. And I've been putting those in the store, as this will be in the store. You'll see this in the store. And you guys have been helping me out and responding there, which is just great. One of the things I have done is, like, I've lowered my store prices a bit, because I used to have them at a certain place to reflect my gallery pricing, but the gallery thing is, since the unknown virus of unspecified origin has hit the scene, hasn't been what it used to be, as is my traffic through my studio. This is summer here in New Zealand, I used to get scads of people, yeah. Anyway, let's talk some more about the painting. So we popped in that sunset, and I think that looks pretty good indeed. A little bit of I always struggle somewhat, and that's the thing too. Struggle, to most people, is a negative word, kind of like the word synthetic, but struggle is just part of painting. And I used to really like to have everything nailed down. That's my personality, but it's okay to not know sometimes where things are headed or how you're going to pull it off. Oh, by the way, so the painting session was in 2 sessions. You're going to see the sky. This is the next day, and the sky did go a little bit matte, but I did it like that so that at least the colors in the trees wouldn't go matte and stuff. And it's a little shift, but it looks pretty good. It's not too bad, especially that's my first chance to see it on the screen, not in the little video camera screen. And I think it's fine. It's acceptable. The thing is, like, well, actually yesterday with that Ines study, it's going on 4 hours, maybe 4.5. I'm flagging, that's it was a pretty Herculean task, because it requires, well, if you're a painter, you're here, you know what I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You only have so much presence of mind that you can bring to bear to create something that's a attractive piece of art. And unlike some things, like, say, digging a ditch or something in your yard, where you go, well, I'm just going to persevere and get on through this mental fatigue or fatigue, whatever. You don't want to do that with your paintings. What will happen is that extra half hour or hour that you push things, a lot of that work might be substandard. It might be dragging the whole painting down. It might defeat the purpose of even doing it. So a lot of times I try and plan things so I can pull off a whole painting all at one go. But one of the things that I think kind of extended the time that this painting took me was all those deviations from the reference. So there's a lot of spots where I go, oh, what am I going to do here? And I couldn't just pull something from the reference and plop it onto my painting, metaphorically, of course. I'm not actually cutting out bits of paper and sticking them on the board. Yeah, I know you know what I mean. So let's talk. I know you guys want information about color, and again, members area is actually pretty reasonable, and I don't mind if people tip in and tip out. It's $6 a month. US, and of which Google gets half, I get half. It's all good, it helps. It helps pay for the studio rent. It helps pay for a lot of things, and you get it all right there. You're a fly on the wall in the studio. It's just, in fact, I treat the video camera there just like it's you. You're there. we're together and creating a painting, and it's awesome. I really, frankly, love recording the painting process, and it's not often that I take the time to go back and watch paintings I've done from years previous. Every now and again I will. I tend to be a very forward-looking person. The painting I'm most interested in is the last painting I just did because it's still fresh to me, and the painting I'm going to do, or paintings I'm going to do, which I have a loose plan there. I have a lot of reference prepared that I don't always know what I'm going to do that week, but I maybe have 20 to 30 different bits of reference sitting in my folder. So when I come into the studio in the morning, I will say, well, what size do I feel like working? What boards are prepared? Maybe I feel like I've been into an 8x10 thing lately, so mostly because I own a lot of 8. You can buy a lot of really cool 8x10 frames. It's a good size to work, and it's especially brilliant for verticals. And one of the reasons why there are so many 8x10 frames around is it's an old photographer's size. 8 inch by 10 inches is a really nice portrait size. But you can do good landscape paintings with 8x10 too. You really need to be aware of some of the things that could go wrong, and I've talked about that in the past. I won't belabor that much here. Now these hills in the back was an issue. Normally I would want to go, as things move in the distance, they tend to go cooler, but with the super warm golden sunset, like I was sort of struggling, again in the positive sense of the word, at least in this case, I was struggling to pull in some cool grays and things, and I ended up kind of going, well, no, that's not working with the sunset. It's not jiving, you know. So what I did was go warm, and most of what you see back there is out of my imagination as well, because there was like a lot less of that in the photo reference, and it had a bunch of diagonal slashes through it and things I didn't want to paint. So now this scene is a scene I've painted before. It's from one of my many different travels, in this case around New Zealand, and it still kind of looks somewhat like the photo reference. It's deviated a lot. Of course, every bit in the photo reference, all the detail is etched. I use a very good camera to get my my photos, and but you got to ignore all that detail. In fact, hey, we got a minute here. We could talk a little bit about detail. You know, detail is one of the things that really messes up your painters that are starting out, and detail is really superfluous to doing a painting. As a matter of fact, a lot of times when you might be looking at a master painting that you want to do a study after, but maybe you can't find a good resolution image of it, who cares? It doesn't matter. Put up that little tiny image and just make a painting. And you'll see, you'll supply whatever necessary details required just with the fracture of your brush strokes. And a lot of times when people come into my studio, I get this all the time. Oh, your work is so detailed, etc., so on and so forth. Or you're very technical. No, I'm not. No, the paintings, there's not a single leaf or blade of grass or anything. Maybe, yes, we have an actual tree trunk, and yes, we have actual cloud forms, but detail really isn't something you want in a landscape painting, unless of course you have like the style like oh gosh, I can't remember his name, but that illustrator that did the Helga series, his name's escaping me. I'm having an aged moment. Yeah, every blade of grass was in that, every print on her dress, so on and so forth. Although not all the work he did was like that, of course, but that can be a style, and your work may sell too, don't get me wrong, but to me and what I'm after, the detail isn't going to save your painting. It's really going to bog it down, bring it down, make people somewhat uncomfortable. They may even be impressed with the detail that you've rendered, but the real true reality is that it has limited usefulness in landscape painting. Anyway, I can see we're getting close to the end here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming and taking the time to watch this video. This will be for sale in my stores, so go ahead and check that out if you like it. It'll be around that $300 US mark, as is most of the work there. And I want to make things affordable so that if you have the impetus to collect one of my paintings, you can afford to do so. Yeah. Anyway, until I come back with another video, do me a favor, do me a solid. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble. And God bless you and your family.